at the courthouse at 8 o'clock tonight. You just come in the door and take the first turn to the right. Be careful when you get there, we'd hate to be bereft, but we're taking down the names of everybody turning left. We're the John Birch Society, John Birch Society, here to save our country from a communistic plot. Join the John Birch Society, help us fill the ranks. To get this movement started, we need lots of tools and cranks. There's no one that we're certain the Kremlin doesn't touch. We think that Westbrook Pegler doth protest a bit too much. We only hail the hero from whom we got our name. We're not clear what he did, but he's our hero just the same. We're the John Birch Society, John Birch Society. Socialism is the ism dismalest of all. Join the John Birch Society, holding off the Reds. We will use our hands and hearts, and if we must, we'll use our heads. You know about the agents that we've already named. Well, MCA has agents that are flatly unashamed. We're after Rosie Clooney, we've gotten Pinky Lee, and the day we get Red Skelton, won't that be a victory? We're the John Birch Society, John Birch Society. Norman Vincent Peale may think he's kidding us along, but the John Birch Society knows he spilled the beans. He keeps on preaching brotherhood, but we know what he means. We'll teach you how to spot them in cities or the sticks, for even Jasper Junction is just full of Bolsheviks. The CIA's subversive, and so's the FCC. There's no one left but thee and we, and we're not sure of thee. We're the John Birch Society, John Birch Society, busy writing essays that will keep the foe at bay. Join the John Birch Society, there's so much to do. Have you heard they're serving vodka at the WCTU? Do you want Justice Warren to be your commissar? Do you want Nina Khrushchev in there with the DAR? You cannot trust your neighbor or even next of kin. If mommy is a commie, then you've got to turn her in. We're the John Birch Society, John Birch Society, fighting for the right to fight the right, fight for the right. Join the John Birch Society as we're marching on. We'll all be glad to see you where we're meeting in the John Birch Society. Glory, glory, hallelujah. The John Birch Society.
Early on a summer morning many years ago, the body of a beautiful girl was found on a deserted Long Island beach. Her name was Starr Faithful. To this day, no one knows how she died or when or even where. This is the last letter she wrote. Hello, Bill, old thing, it's all up with me now. This is something I am going to put through. Nothing makes any difference now. It's the only possible thing for me to do. I adore music. I believe I love music more than anything. I am going to drink slowly, keeping aware. On the streets, men may flirt with me. I don't care. It's a great life when you have 24 hours. I don't have to dread growing old. I don't have to dread living on without seeing you. It's more than I can cope with, this feeling I have for you. There is nothing I can do except what I'm going to do. I shall never see you again. I can't comprehend it, any more than I can comprehend always, or time. They produce a very merciful numbness. Starr. One hot day in Old Fall River, Mr. Andrew Borden died, and they booked his daughter Lizzie on a charge of homicide. Some say she didn't do it, others say of course she did, but they all agree Miss Lizzie B was a problem kind of kid. 'Cause you can't chop your papa up in Massachusetts, not even if it's planned as a surprise. No, you can't chop your papa up in Massachusetts. You know how neighbors love to criticize. She got him on the sofa where he'd gone to take a snooze. I hope he went to heaven 'cause he wasn't wearing shoes. She kind of rearranged him with a hatchet, so they say, and then she got her mother in that same old-fashioned way. But you can't chop your mama up in Massachusetts, not even if you're tired of her cuisine. No, you can't chop your mama up in Massachusetts. If you do, you know it's sure to cause a scene. They really kept her hopping on that busy afternoon, with down and upstairs chopping while she hummed a ragtime tune. Her ma, when Lizzie whacked her, looked an awful lot like Pa, like somebody in a tractor had been backing over Ma. But you can't chop your papa up in Massachusetts and then blame all the damage on the mice. No, you can't chop your mama up in Massachusetts. That kind of thing just isn't very nice. It wasn't done for pleasure, and it wasn't done for spite, and it wasn't done because the lady wasn't very bright. She always did the slightest thing that Mom and Papa bid. They said, Lizzie, cut it out, and that's exactly what she did. But you can't chop your papa up in Massachusetts and then get dressed to go out for a walk. No, you can't chop your papa up in Massachusetts. Massachusetts is a far cry from New York. She waked in the midnight and combed her hair and called for her robe made of down, and closed in her coach from the cold dark air, she rode to the edge of the town. She came to a cottage where glowed a light as the wind bent the trees with a moan. Come in, said a shadow, it's cold tonight, cold as a heart that's alone. What have you come this night to discover? What have you come here to know? How I can tell the face of my lover, the sign he'll be certain to show. He'll come with a rose that is dark and red, with a rose dark and red at his side. The one with the rose red as blood you'll wed, or never be ever a bride, or you'll never be ever a bride. She came to the field where the grass was green, when winter was gone with the sun. Many the suitors her eyes had seen, but with a red rose there was none. There was one with a white rose upon his crest, handsome he was, straight and tall. One with a yellow rose from the west, but with a red rose, none at all. Bring me a blood red rose for my flower, bring me a rose and a thorn, else I shall lie alone in my tower, loveless and lost and lorn. The one with the white rose said, I shall die unless you will keep me from cold. The one with the yellow rose answered, I must have her forever to hold, I must have her forever to hold.
They sprang to their horses and loosed their swords. The yellow rose shone in the light. A silver blade gleamed as it hurtled towards the one with the rose that was white. His wound was mortal, his wound was deep, but sweet look of triumph he wore. He said, "Look, my lady, before I sleep, my rose isn't white anymore." Scarlet the rose and blood red the rose he held in his poor dying hand. She cried with a cry of madness that froze the hearts of that great noble band. And there, as his love ebbed away that day, richer than Burgundy wine, with terrible laughter she turned away and said, "Now the red rose is mine. Now the scarlet blood red rose is mine." Run to your mama, run to your mama, tell her your daddy's gone a-sailing. Till he's returning, keep her from yearning, you've got to be the man. Daddy's going on a long, long trip on the cold, wet deck of a whaling ship. Daddy's going on a long, long trip, look away and don't you cry. He'll be bringing you an ivory knife with a whalebone blade, you can bet your life. He'll be bringing you an ivory knife, look away and don't you cry. Oh, run to your mama, run to your mama, tell her your daddy's gone a-sailing. Till he's returning, keep her from yearning, you've got to be the man. Daddy's going to a heathen land, to an island place made of golden sand. Daddy's going to a heathen land, look away and don't you cry. They'll be speaking in a foreign tongue, where the young look old and the old look young. They'll be speaking in a foreign tongue, look away and don't you cry. Oh, run to your mama, run to your mama, tell her your daddy's gone a-sailing. Till he's returning, keep her from yearning, you've got to be the man. Dark and windy on a stormy sea, he'll be wishing then where he longs to be. Dark and windy on a stormy sea, look away and don't you cry. If it happens when the great wind moans, Daddy takes a trip down to David Jones. If it happens when the great wind moans, look away and don't you cry. Oh, run to your mama, run to your mama, tell her your daddy's gone a-sailing. Till he's returning, keep her from yearning, you've got to be the man. It looked like every wagon in the state of Illinois gathered at the meeting place that night. For when the morning light appeared, each woman, man and boy gazed in awe and wonder at the sight. They saw 500 wagons there, an army of the Lord, on their way to find the promised land. Many thousand people there, and all of one accord, waiting now to hear but one command. Waiting now to hear but one command. Then the word rang out and they heard a crack, and the dogs all barked and the cow pulled back. The big wheels moved and began to roll. They were on their way to Zion. Though their eyes were full, not a one looked back, but they looked ahead where there was no track. Sure of the road in their hearts and soul, they were on their way to Zion. To Zion, to Zion, they moved along over hill and plain. To Zion, with faith in the word of the Lord. Then the river came and the river went, and the prairie sky was a hot blue tent. Along they rode with a mighty will, they were on their way to Zion. But the days grew long and the nights grew chill, and a red man watched them from every hill. Faith in the Lord was a comfort still, they were on their way to Zion. To Zion, to Zion, they moved along over hill and plain. To Zion, with faith in the word of the Lord. Then the days went by till the days were weeks, and they saw no game and they crossed no creeks. There ahead were the mountain peaks, they were on their way to Zion. But the food gave out and the water dried, and the babies stared and no longer cried. The old ones wandered away and died, and nowhere near to Zion. To Zion, they moved along over hill and plain. To Zion, with faith in the word of the Lord. Then a lonely few came to one more hill. Their hearts were weak, but the spirit still fought till they conquered one more hill. And below they saw their Zion. And they all rose up and they praised the Lord, and the voices rose in a mighty chord. There was deliverance and reward in the blessed land of Zion. In Zion, oh praise him, angels sing his name. In Zion, with faith in the word of the Lord. Imagine a little place out in Queens, in a frame of tall evergreens, where a couple dwelled mid this happiest of scenes. He called her Ruthie, she called him Al. She was something more than a pal. She was a lazy little, lethal kind of gal. Mrs. Ruth Snyder had a good provider, a diamond and a brand new Ford. She had a fine fur coat and the right to vote, but underneath it all she was bored. So when Mrs. McCarty threw a little party, Ruth slipped away and went. There she heard him say, "Ruthie, meet Judd Gray. He's fat, but he's your kind of gent." She met Mr. Weems and she met Mr. Orsitz and a man they all called Sid. Judd Gray told her that he sold corsets. He pinched her and he called her kid. Well, Ruthie was bored with her brand new Ford, and she said, "I could go for you, Judd." She hadn't known him long, but she had it all wrong. His name wasn't Judd, it was Mud. Now, Judd wasn't handsome as salesmen go. You wouldn't call him big and fine, but what won't hurt you is what you don't know, and that night he showed her his line. The love bug bit, he knew this was it, and the rose was so full-blown. He'd sell many a corset if Ruth would endorse it, but she sat there just holding her own. Their love affair grew like with me and with you, but Albert was still in the dark. Nobody told Snyder a traveling spider was taking his dove for a lark. And then one day Ruth said, "Judd, it's the truth, I love you and I always shall. But I'm bored, aren't you? What'll we do? I know, let's kill Al." Judd said, "Beware, we've got to take care. We can't arouse the country club. Oblige noblesse, we will use finesse, 'cause we sure don't want to flop the dub. They decided then that they would do it when the bloom was off the shrub, when the frost was on the pumpkin and the gin was in the tub.
Ruthie, watch your steps.
So they bought a piano and they took out the wire from a window. They took a weight. About 3:45 they bought a lawnmower, but they left it at the place they ate. For the styles in crime they didn't give a dime, but they hated to stir up a storm. So for the finishing touch they didn't get too much, just a bottle of chloroform.
Ruthie, that's not right.
They hit him with the sash weight, choked him with the wire, and doused him with the chloroform. When they had finished, poor Albert was diminished, and Ruthie thought the room was warm. So she called as she oughta, honey, bring a glass of water, while Judd tidied up with a broom. They weren't very smart, but with that much heart for brains, there just isn't room.
Ruthie, don't be dumb.
Now there's been Jack the Ripper and Richard the Third. There's even been Billy the Kid. Hoop-de-doo-de-doo-de. Billy was an irresponsible bird, but he didn't do what Ruthie did. Like the fuzz on a peach, they cut off her bleach and got the chair ready for Ruth. For the love of Pete, Ruthie fit in that seat like a telephone fits in a booth.
Goodbye, Ruthie dear.
Judd Gray, today they say that where you are it's warm. Through the flames of hell you still can smell that odor of chloroform. I'm drinking a toast to your traveling ghost. I'm drinking to you and to Ruth, with 6 parts whiskey, 5 parts gin, and 7 Italian vermouth.
Here's to Ruthie dear.
The matter of sex is very complex. It can make a strong man sigh. And the matter of sex is so complex, it can make a woman weep and cry. Don't let sex get so complex, someday it may make you die. It's all right to sigh and it's all right to cry, but it's really all wrong if you fry kid like Ruthie did. If you fry bud like Judd, don't you dare fry kid like Ruthie did. Don't you dare fry bud like Judd. Diamonds of dew and pearls of rain, marigold for a golden chain, sapphires of sky so high and clear and blue, I give to you, I give to you. Carpet of green and roof of leaves, curtains of lace the spider weaves, robins to sing of spring the whole year through. I give to you, I give to you. Come with me to the mirror there in the glass of the pond. Misty things all are clearer there. We can see what's beyond. Diamonds of dew will fade away. Carpets of green will turn to gray. What will remain is plain, the heart so true. I give to you, I give to you. Robert E. Lee was a wonderful man and he hated slavery. He didn't want war, but he said he would fight to keep Virginia free. After it all was over and done, he rode into the dawn, Where in the world is another man like him now that Lee is gone? We will see him up in heaven with 100,000 men. He'll be riding on Old Traveler when we see Lee again. Abraham said, come and take the command of the men that I will arm. But Robert E. Lee said he couldn't do that if it brought Virginia harm. From the time he went home and the cannons began till his strength was at an ebb, he gallantly fought though he knew it would end with tears for Johnny Reb. We will see him up in heaven with 100,000 men. He'll be riding on Old Traveler when we see Lee again. Tall on his horse in the thick of the fight, through the smoke and shell and grime, men who were shot would say, turn me so I can see him one more time. Day after day it went steadily on as the houses burned at night, till finally Lee, with an ache in his heart, said, I must end this fight. We will see him up in heaven with 100,000 men. He'll be riding on Old Traveler when we see Lee again. Then when the smoke had gone drifting away with the food so bare and scant, Robert E. Lee in his very best gray set out to call on Grant. They met on the porch of a little white house with the fighting at a halt. Lee looked at his men and with tears in his eyes he said, it's all my fault. We will see him up in heaven with 100,000 men. He'll be riding on Old Traveler when we see Lee again. We will see him up in heaven with 100,000 men. He'll be riding on Old Traveler when we see Lee again. I'll sing you a song of Scotland now, a song about a lady fair, with flashing eyes and lovely brow, the fairest that e'er was there. She captured the hearts of everyone, from maids and men to tiny tots. There just was no comparison for Mary, the Queen of Scots. For Mary was everything a Scotsman wanted his queen to be, fine and royal and so loyal, for Scotland she would die. And now when winter snow is past and lovers pick forget-me-nots, they gather one for all lang past and marry the Queen of Scots. The sun refused to shine the day she fell into an English plot. Darkness on the Hielands lay and sorrow in every Scot. They took her to the tower where she couldna tell the night from day, till an angel found her there and spirited her away. For Mary was everything the angels thought that a queen should be, and crossed the heather all together they bore her lovingly. So look at the stars the way they shine, and when you pick forget-me-nots, gather one for auld lang syne and marry the Queen of Scots. In her sleep, I heard her crying, I am lost in the woods, dreaming she was somewhere, all alone and lost in the woods. How could I tell her I've been there? Melt away all her dark despair. Run to her and be there to share all she feared in the woods. Gently then I took her hand and drew it near to my heart. As I touched her, I could feel her fear and terror depart. Though she slept, it was clear to see. Hand in hand, she was there with me, safely home where she longed to be. No more lost in the woods. I don't know how long I thought about her, lost in the woods. Thought of how it is, in fear we all get lost in the woods. Through this life we go day by day, in the darkness so far astray. Love is all that can light the way when we're lost in the woods. I like a funeral, a real good funeral. If there's a funeral, I'm certain to arrive, because a funeral, a high-class funeral makes you feel you're mighty glad that you're alive. I hate a wedding, a tearful wedding. If there's a wedding, I'm shivering with dread, because a wedding, a woeful wedding makes you realize you're freer when you're dead. You know a coffin is made out of pine, but a wedding ring is made out of gold. And where he's going, the pine's burning fine, but a wedding ring forever is cold. So cold. I like a funeral, a real good funeral. I like a funeral, you know it ain't no sin. For at a funeral, an ideal funeral, you are rid of one more friend who do you in. You know a coffin is made out of pine, but a wedding ring is made out of gold. And where he's going, the pine's burning fine, but a wedding ring forever is gold. I like a funeral, a real good funeral. If there's a funeral, I'll be there or I'll bust. For at a funeral, an ideal funeral, you are rid of one more friend you couldn't trust. I like a funeral, a real good funeral. I like the ashes and all the dusty dust. For at a funeral, an ideal funeral, you are rid of one more friend. Goodbye. Would have sent you round the bend. So long. Rid of one more friend you couldn't trust. Give me a fancy funeral, a good old-fashioned funeral. Give me a beautiful funeral. I like it fine, as long as the funeral